What is up, everybody? Welcome. Welcome. I don't know if the music's still playing. No, it's going away. Perfect. What's up, everybody? Welcome to my first ever live stream. I think, yes, my first ever live stream. We're joined by Jesse from Last Second Sports. Jesse, what's up, man?
Hey man, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. This your first because you do like video
This is
cut ups, huh?
this is my first time doing this live because I usually just did videos, and then with you, I was like, hey, I gotta start my live streaming. So starting today.
Hey, well, I'm glad to be the first one on. Thanks, man. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
yeah. Well, I mean, you probably already know what we're gonna be talking about. Well, I sent you what we're gonna be talking about, but it's off season right now, so there's nothing really to talk about except for Brock Purdy's contract. Yay, super fun. Great. Love talking about this. It's really fun. I love asking people this question. What do you think Brock Purdy's contract's gonna be? What do you think it's gonna be?
Oh gosh.
Or
I
what do you
mean,
want it to be? It's kind of it's
well,
let's kind of make this two questions. What do you
yeah.
want it to be, but what do you think it's going to be?
Well, what I want it to be is wait till next off season and figure it out. That's what I want it to be. I,
Yeah,
I think that's the best thing to do, but there's no way they're gonna do that. And I
no,
understand that. I
no.
think I think there's two ways to look at this. You're gonna get into the AAV. And that'll probably be, I don't know, let's say 55 or so.
Yeah,
5 years, 55 per. But the reality is the contract is going to be probably 2 years on top of this next year. So 3 years they'll have an
okay.
out. And then it'll be heavily backloaded like all these contracts are. So I don't think that it's going to hamstring them at least right away. They're going to have an opportunity to win and build, which is important. But it's interesting to me because I feel like the timeline of Brock Purdy right now and the availability for them to build this really good team around him doesn't necessarily match the timeline of the rest of the team. I look at the rest of this roster and yes, they did a good job drafting last year, but
Yeah,
there's a lot of aging veterans that are very expensive. So Brock Purdy has like this short window where he's going to be inexpensive for like 2, maybe 3 years. But this roster also has to be retooled on the fly, in my opinion, if they
100%.
really want to win a Super Bowl. And so that's what's the most interesting thing. It's not that Brock Purdy's going to hamstring them next year or the year after, but they gotta get it done quick.
They do. Well, of course, we don't want it to be an Ayuk thing, which I don't think Brock Purdy would do that, hold out or anything. So you think he's signing a 2-year deal?
No, I think he's gonna sign on the surface, it's gonna look like a
Okay.
5-year deal, a ton of money, but
Okay.
there will be an out after 2 years. So, really 3 years, because we gotta
I
remember this
understand.
upcoming year
Yeah.
is not year 1 of the new contract, it's
No.
2 years after that. So, after 3 years, the 49ers will have an out built into it. Whether they exercise that is really irrelevant at this time, but they will have an out built into that thing. They always do.
What's your price point? I've heard a lot. I've heard
Mm.
50, I've heard 60. What do you think it's gonna be? Because personally, I don't want him to get I don't think any 49er fan, a lot of NFL fans of other teams, they want Purdy. I've seen comments, "Oh, yeah, pay Purdy 70 million." I think that's really smart because, of course, they wanna see the Niners downfall with I think
Yeah.
a lot of people wanna see that, but I personally think I don't know, I know you might not like this take, but I do think Purdy deserves 55, 60 million, and I am a Purdy guy,
Yeah.
but I just don't know how, I don't know how we're gonna make it work where he can make 35, 40 million, which that's what I want to happen. But how's that gonna work? His agent could just say, well, he's brought our team to the NFC championship game and he's brought our team to the Super Bowl. So that's why I think he deserves 55, 60 million.
Well, I think there are 2 things at play, right? Like,
Yeah.
as a 49er fan, I have
Mhm.
the organization front and center, and
Yeah.
so I wouldn't wanna pay 95% of these quarterbacks that. If Dak
Exactly.
Prescott was our quarterback, I wouldn't have paid him, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, if CJ Stroud, who I loved coming out last year in the draft, he was my number 1 prospect, number 1 quarterback, balled his rookie year. If he had the season he just had and was up, I'd be like, we might wanna pump the brakes on this one and make him play this thing out."
Yeah.
So there's a lot of players that I would say I would be in the same position with as Brock Purdy, but also, I do realize as far as, like, the individual goes, dude, Brock Purdy, get your money. And he does have a leg to stand on when it comes to negotiations. He absolutely deserves to ask for that kind of money. He's been criminally underpaid the last couple years. He's well outplayed that contract. He did so after like a game and a half being the starter for this team. So I get that aspect of it too, but I'm looking at it from a red and gold. What is the best thing for this team? And the best thing for this team is not to just spend a bunch of money on a quarterback that, quite frankly, people can act confident in them, but even those that are confident, when you really push,
Yeah.
so where is he? It's like, well, I mean, he's top 10-ish. So you would pay him whatever? Well, I would like him to make 45 million. It's like, okay, well, so basically you look at him the way that I do. You just don't like the way that I speak about him. But ultimately we agree nobody wants him to make stupid money because that's not what's
No.
best for the 49ers. So I do think that he'll probably fall in. Like when the contract's announced, let's say 5 year, 55 per year is probably what you're going to hear. So we're talking what, 250, around 275. Yeah, I mean, that's a big number. That's
Jeez.
probably what you're going to hear. And it's going to be like, oh,
Jeez.
shell shock. And then what's going to happen is we're going to sit on it for a day. Everybody's going to have their takes, but then the structure of the contract will be released the
Yeah.
next day. And then we'll really be able to step back and look at it and say, okay, this is what the contract actually is. Not so bad, or oh man, they really could have structured this differently. So we'll see how it's structured. That's the most important thing.
That is very important. And I know like you don't want to sign Purdy to that big of a deal, right? No, I don't
Mhm.
think anyone does, but let's say the 49ers just say, you know what, we're not signing you to that deal. Who would we get? Are you a guy that would say draft a QB, or you guys say like free agency, even though there's not many like in this free agent? There's like Justin Fields, but I don't think Justin Fields is better than Purdy. But like, what
Yeah.
would you draft a quarterback? Because this draft class for quarterbacks isn't good either. So it's like, what do we do?
Yeah, I think the thing is that like they don't have to do anything. He's not a free agent. Now,
That's
yeah,
true.
he could sit out, he could threaten, do all that, but he
Yeah.
also is not he's not going to miss a full year. He can't do that either
No.
because he won't be a free agent. So, I don't think you have to do a lot, but let's say he went to the front office, and I think he would do it very respectfully. So let's play this out. He says, or the 49ers say, we're not paying you. We want to make you play out this year. And he's like, guys, I listen, love the organization. I thought I was the franchise guy. Clearly, you don't believe in me that way. Trade me. Okay. Well, then I would look at a team like the Colts, who you could probably get maybe their first round pick, for sure their second round pick, but I think you might be able to pry that first round pick away. You got a team that is desperate to win, a head coach and a GM that are on the hot seat. Brock Purdy gets them at least in a spot where they can feel good about the quarterback position. They play in a dome. They don't
Yeah.
play in inclement weather. I think people
No.
that are like, well, the Giants are no, the teams that are in the NFC
You
East and
can't. Oh
AFC
my
North,
god.
no, he
Bro,
cannot play there.
no.
Cannot. But in a dome, he can. So I look at a team like that and I say, all right, what can I get for him? Let me send him to a team like the Colts, get the most I can. Then I'm drafting a quarterback at some point in this draft within the first round, 2, 3 that I feel comfortable with. Maybe that's a Jackson Dart or whoever. And then I'm also bringing in like Kirk Cousins on a vet minimum, and I'm making the rookie and Kirk Cousins compete, and we'll figure it out. Like, I don't know. I mean, the thing is like everybody has this thought of, oh, what do you do if you move on from Brock Purdy? Who are you going to find that's better? Which is the question that everybody poses. Who are you going
Yeah.
to find that's better? That's not the question. I don't have to find anybody better. What I do have to find is somebody that's about 85% as good as Brock and a
Mhm.
fraction of the cost. That's it. You know why? Because I know that wins because it won with Jimmy.
It did.
So Jimmy's about 85% of Brock, I
You're
would
right.
say. You find somebody that's 85%, but is $6 million versus 60 million, you're cooking. So you can win with that.
I do agree. That's kind of like the take that everyone's having. I've seen it all over the place. It's like if you get a guy like Jackson Dart to come into the team, I think we do the exact same thing we did last year. Like people said if Jackson Dart was on our team last year, we're still going to the Super Bowl. That's how I just don't think but this whole talk is stupid. I don't think you pay any quarterback $60 million except for Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and maybe Lamar and Burrow. But otherwise,
Yeah.
like Herbert getting paid 50. Herbert is better than Purdy, but Herbert getting paid 52.4, Lawrence getting paid 55. Like
Yeah.
Lawrence getting paid $55 million. The guy literally he stinks. I'm sorry, he's not good at all. Like, so I don't know, man. I'm hoping Purdy takes a team friendly deal. Do I think he will? No, no, I don't think he will. I'm hoping he does, but I do honestly think
You
it's going to be 55, 60.
you talked about his agent, and you talked about, okay, well, his agent can go to the table and say this. I
Yeah.
can tell you unequivocally, his agent has been in some DMs of content creators, and he is not taking a Baker Mayfield deal. That is factual. So all the hey, I would love for 45. No, it's not going to happen. It's not. They're going to fight tooth and nail to get top of the market money, I believe. So we'll see how it plays
But
out.
my question, like, if I was talking to Purdy's, like, if I was even talking to just Purdy and his agent, how does he think we're gonna win with that much money being at our quarterback? We see the Cowboys, which is a perfect example. They have 60 million now with Dak. They got to re-sign Micah, and then they have all their money in CD. If we sign Purdy to that deal, it's going to be kind of like Purdy and Dak are the same. Ayuk and CD, both big contracts. Bosa and Parsons. Like
Parsons, yeah.
we're literally going to be the Cowboys 2.0. We're going
You have to
we're
win
going
through
to
the
be the Cowboys.
draft. Yeah, you have to win through the draft. It is possible. It is, but you look at the teams that are making it work. The Lions and Philadelphia are kind of the blueprints because you've got 2 quarterbacks that are highly paid. Now, again, those 2 quarterbacks are early in their contracts, so they're not big money yet. Like I talked about with Brock Purdy, you have that couple year window where he's not gonna be super expensive and you can still get it done. That's where Goff and Hurts are at in their current contract. But that being said, you're talking about 2 teams that have hit on draft pick after draft pick after draft pick. The Rams are starting to do it now. The 49ers can no longer miss on a draft pick and be like, okay, we missed on Javon Kinlaw. We'll just go make it up by paying big money for Javon Hargrave. You're not going to have big money to go do that. So they just got
No,
to hit in the draft. So what they did this last year was great. Now you got to do it another 2 or 3 times over to make this team competitive long term while you're paying that money to the Bosas, the Warners, the Brock Purdy's, and what have you. So it's going to be super
which
important.
which is going to be difficult, I think, to draft like that again. Because last, like this draft that we just had, I felt it was not lucky, but it was kind of lucky if you think about it. Because the Niners in recent years, we've had bad drafts, man. We've drafted Moody, of course, and then I think it was last year. No, it was the year before. That draft was really bad. It was the one
Mhm.
with Ronnie Bell in it. All those really bad. I think
Drake
this draft
Jackson.
class is a little bit different, though. I feel like there's a lot deeper players in this draft. I don't know if that's just me, but yeah, Brock Purdy. Let's see what he
And hey,
gets.
you, if you enjoyed that video, make sure you drop a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more 49ers football content just like this.